really lovely you guys stood up. That was very touching.
Yeah, and I told you before we came on that you would get a great reaction from our audience. These are the real film lovers, and you've made some incredible movies throughout your career. What strikes me is the fact that, you know, you grew up in Hollywood, but, you know, you didn't have a Hollywood family, as we saw. So what was it that gave you that drive and ambition to want to pursue a career in acting at such a young age?
Repression.
Yeah.
I was raised in a household where I wasn't allowed to express what was deemed negative. So I'd go in the backyard and I'd act out the Wicked Witch. And it became this arena play, but it was also serious for me because I got to express anything in this safe place. I didn't hurt anyone, I didn't get hurt myself. It was this incredible place of freedom. And then I got old enough to realize there's actually a career where you can do this.
Yeah.
And that was it from my earliest, I don't even know how old I was when I proclaimed that I was an actor, you know.
That's amazing. And it sounds like it was very cathartic.
It was very cathartic. And I think it's the need to express something is what sustains an actor, creates a real actor that can go through the highs and lows, because I think talent isn't that rare, but I think that need to express something is more rare.
And probably something you never feel the end of.
It's always it's never ending.
More things. Well, one of your earliest movies was Boxcar Bertha from 1972, you know, directed by a young Martin Scorsese. I'm curious to know what your impressions were of him at that stage. I mean, you might not have been able to predict his career, but did you notice something special?
I kind of did predict his
Really?
career. Yeah. We had no budget. We shot it in 4 weeks. He was giggling and nervous. He was convinced he was going to be fired at every minute. He went through 3 cinematographers in 4 weeks. It was a wild ride, and yet we were improvising and we were having fun in a way that I'd never quite experienced with anyone. I could see how deeply talented he was. For instance, we had no budget, and the whole movie starts with a sharecropper plane crashing, which we couldn't afford. And he pushed me up against a car and lit a match. And that was the explosion and the reflection of the car. And when he lit the match, I reacted to something off camera. And when he did that, I thought, this is genius. This is not typical, you know. And the other thing I realized is that he was also religious, which was an interesting combination. And he's also an encyclopedia of film, which everyone knows.
Yeah.
He's incredible. I actually did think this guy is going to be something amazing.
Wow, and as you said, it was a quick shoot, but it was fun. So it wasn't stressful that you didn't have much time?
It was stressful.
Okay.
It was both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to play a lot with him.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, throughout the 1970s, you made some incredible movies, you took a lot of risks. You know, what do you attribute that to, the fearlessness that you had in taking on so many varied roles at that young age?
I always knew I wanted variety. I never wanted one genre or one kind of, to play one kind of person. I'm interested in people, and I'm interested in the people inside me. And to have the chance to have a whole world of humanity expressed through me always fascinated me. And from when I was a little girl, I remember looking at, before I'd go to sleep at night, I'd make my face into the faces I saw in the newspapers. You know, I just was always geared toward it.
And do you think that made you fearless as well? Like being able to just jump into a character?
I knew that I would rather fail trying something than not trying something, you know. That always meant a lot to me. I guess it was fearless, but I didn't think of it that way. I just was excited.
And throughout the 1970s, the press was quite harsh on you.
Yes.
How did you manage to, you know, block all that noise out to continue to build your career on your own terms?
It was hard. It was hard. I was, doing what a lot of, like many thousands of young Americans were doing, and it just more publicly. So I figured, and I was misrepresented a lot in the press, and I thought, maybe naively, but I thought I had trust that since that wasn't me they were describing, that the me that really existed, who was a serious actress, would, in the end, if I was just true to myself and kept trying, that eventually they'd catch on. And that's what happened, but it wasn't easy. I learned a lot. I learned what not to say to the press.
Yeah.
Because I thought in my naive 19-year-old self that I should answer every question honestly, which you don't have to do.
No, you don't have to. If there's anything I ask you don't want to answer, you don't have to answer. Did that change your relationship with the press? Were you more guarded after that?
I guess so. I mean, I try not to be, but yes, you just don't answer something that's not going to work out for you.
Yeah. Well, it was amazing that then the 1980s come around and you look at the string of films that you were in, Hoosiers, The Natural, Beaches, The Right Stuff, Last Temptation of Christ, Hannah and Her Sisters. I'm missing a lot here. But again, like, what was driving that creative momentum throughout the 1980s?
Well, I was very happy. I was getting a chance to do exactly what I wanted to do, which was a variety of roles. I mean, I never got pigeonholed, and that was incredible, And I was also being offered roles without having to audition too much, and it was just an incredible time. I was kind of in a kind of ecstasy.
Do you look at directors when you're deciding on whether to take a role? Because you see how many different directors you've worked with. Is that a big deciding factor?
Certainly, but the biggest is the script. I've rarely seen a movie get better than the script. And I have seen them get worse than the script, unfortunately. Yeah. But the script is usually the film. And then the director, obviously. I mean, I've had some really incredible chances with directors that been incredible.
And when it comes to the script, is it something that you can't articulate that will drive it? Is it a gut instinct of whether you should play a role or not?
If I haven't seen the movie before, that'll get me. If I haven't played the part before, that'll get me. Those two things mainly, yeah. And if I'm surprised, I don't like to be told about a movie before I read it, because you only get one chance to read it naively, like an audience member. I don't want to know in advance. I want to have a pure reaction. It's my only chance. Never again will I have that reaction. And so I've always been very careful about that.
And it seems like you're not afraid of this is just a small role, how many pages do I have? Like The Natural is a great example of that. It's a small but extremely pivotal role, and your character definitely makes an impact.
I have a method for picking whether I should do a small role, which is I take the character out of the film, and if the film survives totally well without the character, then I know it's an insignificant role. But by taking the character out, I do find the significance of the character, what's missing. And if there's something there, then I'll do it. The size doesn't matter, but the significance does.
And The Natural, definitely a significant role.
Yeah.
Do you have memories of working with Robert Redford?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, I didn't have that many days with him, but he was lovely. He was lovely and humorous, and said that he couldn't go places publicly, which made me sad for him. He'd lost the ability to be reacted to normally, which I think is really essential for an actor.
Yeah, I always think about that with actors who need to observe other people in order to build a character, but you rarely will get a real reaction towards you, so that must be hard.
And then how do you play people? How would Elizabeth Taylor play a waitress? I mean, it's sort of important to have an interaction with the world that's natural.
Well, something that I notice about you and your roles is that you are able to transform yourself. Like, just even externally, you'll look different depending on the film. Is that something that you focus on?
I love that. I mean, that's like Halloween. You get to dress up and, you know, become someone else and look in the mirror and see someone else, and that's thrilling. But I work from the outside in like that, but I also, more importantly, work from the inside out, because I have the belief that if you're willing and able to look inside yourself, you're capable of anything. And you can be anybody. All of us, I think we have that capacity. And sometimes you have to, it's not like comfortable. You know, you discover things about yourself that aren't easy. But it's such a revelation about yourself, and then also about humanity, because after I played a part like that, that's far away from myself especially, from then on, when I bump into someone in the outside world who's like that character, I know what it feels like. I have a connection with them, and it's kind of thrilling.
Do you always need to have empathy for the characters you're playing? Do you have to like them or relate to them in some way?
Yes, you have to. Well, you go back to, actually a defense attorney told me this once, I asked him how he defends somebody who he knows is guilty, and he says you go back to their childhood or whatever it is, but you go back to the moment they changed. Some event happened that changed them. And I do that as an actor if I'm playing someone who's less than kind. And I find that moment, because you're playing that person, you're finding that person in you, and you have to operate from that. At least I do, from that place.
Do you create backstory yourself?
Oh yeah. Yeah, backstory. I'll do anything. Anything to stimulate myself. I do a lot of, you know, when you're playing a character closer to yourself, you don't have to do it so much, but when you do a character like far away especially, you find, oh, I don't know. I don't even know what I was saying. I lost the thread. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So yeah, you think about maybe the moment when they became that way, or a reason, even if it's not in the script. You'll try and think of a backstory for them.
But everything, it stimulates you. You know, how do they have a perfume? If they were an animal, what kind of animal would they be? You know, how they dress, what shoes they wear. All the external things aren't accidental, and they all feed you. You don't act those things, but you think of those things. You let them, I believe in the subconscious a lot. You let it cook. Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite films from the 80s is Beaches. It's a movie I watched a lot as a kid. Over and over again. But I just rewatched it last week, and I watched it with a friend who's a long-time friend, and we were both commenting on that fact that the film actually shows something that is not usually explored in movies, and that is not only the long-term friendship, but the rupture and repair of a long-term friendship, which I definitely have had with this friend. There's been times when we haven't spoken, and times when we got back together again, and we're best friends, and then we part again, and I think that's something that is so rare to show in a movie.
It's interesting. I've never heard that before, and I think that's absolutely true. I always thought it was valuable because especially at that time, there weren't many films about friendship between women and saying that that's an important thing. And I know mothers showed the film to their daughters. Now generationally, it has a life, which is nice. But I've never thought of that, but the rupture and repair is a big part of it, yeah.
Do you remember your thoughts when you got that script? What stood out to you?
Sorry?
Do you remember what you thought when you read that script for Beaches?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I remember I was excited. Again, it was a character I'd never played before, a kind of film I'd never done before, getting to work with Bette. So many things about it were exciting to me.
Yeah, and you and Bette on screen are so magnificent together. I'm sure a lot of people talk about Beaches to you, or want to talk about Beaches. This is a film that's had a life. There's even a Broadway musical version of Beaches, I think, that just opened.
Yeah, I hear that.
What does the film still mean to you?
Other than what we've just said?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've maintained the friendship with Bette, which means a lot to me. She's a huge part of that movie. She is that movie. She's a great human being, a humanitarian, brave and gutsy and naturally funny, which I really admire. She doesn't even know she's being funny, and she makes me laugh all the time. Well-read. I mean, she's just an incredible person.
Well, I saw you just appeared in her new music protest song she did.
Yeah.
It was so nice to see you both together.
Yes, yes.
And she is brave.
She is great.
So you've retained that friendship, which I love. And then towards the end of the 80s, you know, you have your back-to-back Best Actress wins in Cannes for A World Apart and Shy People, becoming the first actress to achieve that honor. You also won an Emmy, Golden Globe, and then in the 90s was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for The Portrait of a Lady. So I'm curious to know what awards recognition means to you throughout your career.
Well, they mean a lot, I have to say. I mean, being honored here means a lot. It's not the goal. You don't do it for that reason. But when it happens to you, the goodwill, and again, because of the thing I said that it's a vacuum, you don't really have an audience reaction, so you suddenly have this feeling that maybe your work reached people and meant something to them and helped them feel something, and that's very satisfying.
Yeah, and I'm sure having recognition from your peers as well.
Sure.
People in your industry must feel nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Again, you can't stay there. You can't stay in that state. It's a nice thing to experience, but it's not like a place you live, you know.
yeah, not the end goal.
No.